Order the regular session of the New Kent County School Board, July 15th, 2025. For the record, all board members are present, and prior to the closed session, the board voted unanimously to allow Mr. Vaught to participate remotely due to exigent circumstances. Mr. Vaught is on the auditory device here on the table with us. Do I hear a motion to come out of closed session?
Motion to come out of closed session.
Mr. Reimer has the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Dombrowski has the second. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer.
Aye.
Mr. Vaught.
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ms. Cunha.
Aye.
And Mr. Pagano.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We are now out of closed session. Mr. Reimer, could you please read the certification?
Whereas section 2-2-3711 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the New Kent County School Board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the New Kent County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirement by Virginia law were discussed in closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies. And only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the New Kent County School Board.
Thank you, Mr. Reimer. Expertly handled. Do I hear a motion to approve the certification of closed session?
So moved.
We have a joint motion by the ladies. So Ms. Cunha has the first, Mr. Dombrowski has the second. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer.
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ms. Cunha.
Aye.
Mr. Vaught.
Aye.
And Mr. Pagano.
Aye. All right, certification has been approved unanimously. Please rise and join for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everybody. First item on tonight's agenda is presentations, recognitions, and/or school spotlights. I have that privilege tonight. New Kent Schools will have their first school board representative this coming year. Out of 3 candidates, New Kent High School Rising junior Toby Davis has been selected as the student school board representative and will serve during the 25-26 school year. All 3 candidates brought strong qualities to the table, making this decision a difficult one. Ms. Cunha and I, along with Dr. Nichols and Principal Strickland, interviewed these students. It was an amazing process. Mr. Davis stood out because of his thoughtful approach, clear communication, and evident commitment to student advocacy. He demonstrated a strong mix of qualities that we as a board were looking for: leadership, empathy, and a willingness to listen and engage constructively. Toby is a member of cross-country, track, and boys tennis teams. He's a member of the jazz band where he plays trumpet. He served in leadership roles in Beta, cross-country, and the marching band. He received multiple achievements in Beta and band, and outside of school, he serves as the media director at his church. He is a student at Chesapeake Bay Governor's School and maintains a 4.3125 GPA, which is a nice way of saying the kid's a rock star. We're excited to have him in this important role and look forward to his perspective and energy. We're confident he'll represent his fellow students with integrity, insight, and dedication. So congratulations to Mr. Davis, who was unable to be here with us tonight. The next item is consent agenda. Board members, by now you've had the opportunity to review the items listed on the consent agenda, including minute meetings from various work sessions as listed in the agenda, as well as the superintendent's recommendations regarding personnel matters. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Motion to approve?
Mr. Reimer has the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Vaught has a second. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer.
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski.
I have a question. You indicated there were several minutes from the work session. The last time I looked, there were just the minutes from the May 5th on the agenda.
They're there now. Into Four Tops.
For which months?
I didn't see him this afternoon.
February work session, March work session, and May regular session.
I did not have the chance to, I only had the chance to read the May session as they were the ones on there as of this afternoon when I checked.
So I think at this point you can vote to approve, deny, or abstain.
As a whole.
Right.
I abstain.
Okay. Ms. Cunha?
I deny because I didn't see the other, I didn't see the I only saw the May ones, so I don't feel comfortable approving something I haven't reviewed yet.
Okay. Mr. Vaught, did you have trouble seeing any of the minutes posted on the agenda, sir?
Did not.
Okay. Mr. Reimer, did you have any issues?
I read them late, so they were up there.
Okay. I think at this point, we are going to table this motion. And
You want to just do the superintendent's recommended personnel?
yes, that's fine.
Okay.
We can bifurcate the motion, but what I'm referencing, of course, is the
Minutes.
the meeting minutes from the regular and the work sessions until everybody's on the same page and has the opportunity to review them all.
Mr. Chair, may I make just to
Sir.
clarify, so Ms. Davis and I are on the same page. So what you would like to do is, or the motion would shift to approving consent agenda without the minutes. Is that correct?
I'm okay with that.
I can.
Correct. So the approval would include the monthly financials for the June of 2025 and the superintendent's recommendations regarding personnel matters. All items regarding meeting minutes are tabled.
I can.
All right, so that's my motion. Do we have a second?
Second to the amended motion.
All right, so we're voting now on my motion to amend the consent agenda that's being approved tonight. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer,
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski,
Aye.
Ms. Cunha,
Aye.
Mr. Vaught,
Aye.
and Mr. Pagano.
Aye. All right, so that motion passes unanimously. We are not voting on the meeting minutes at all. So now we'll redo the motion for the consent agenda, which is now limited to the monthly financials and the superintendent's recommendations. Do I have a motion to approve those two items?
So moved.
Ms. Cunha has the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Reimer has a second. Ms. Davis, please poll the board again.
Mr. Reimer,
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski,
Aye.
Ms. Cunha,
Aye.
Mr. Vaught,
Aye.
and Mr. Pagano.
Aye. All right, so the consent agenda items as amended have passed unanimously. All right, moving on to new business, 2025-2026 VSBA annual membership. Dr. Nichols.
Yes, sir. Board members, what you have in front of you is our annual VSBA membership dues. And the due total just over, there it is, $7,341. It is calculated for every school division based on your total expenditures for operations. I strongly recommend that we continue with this organization. 125 out of 131 school divisions in the state of Virginia utilize the Virginia School Board Association. We rely on them heavily as a small school district. They provide training for Ms. Davis. It's interesting when you look at this agenda tonight, board members, because our partnership and work with the SBA is threaded throughout it. The student school board representative, which I was a part of, along with Ms. Dombrowski, really leading that, had a lot of support from resources through the Virginia School Board Association. You'll have a media honor roll coming your way, not to tip my hat on the next agenda item. And then you'll also be talking later about superintendent evaluation. So they provide a wealth of resources. We have contacted them 4 times in the past 3 weeks for legal support related to policy services, which does not come to it, which we're not billed at for an hourly rate as we would if we contacted our attorney. Quite simply, board members, I don't know how I would be able to lead as superintendent without the support. I have used this, whether it's Gina Patterson, the executive director, Sam Bosserman, JT Kessler. We get updates all the time. And if I have a question about helping our board and board governance or policy, I have access to 125 other school boards and how they do it. And it's just been an incredible partnership. So that is my recommendation to the board to continue with the Virginia School Board Association.
All right, thank you, Dr. Nichols.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Vaught, do you have any questions or comments, sir?
I have none, no.
Thank you. Ms. Cunha?
Um, I believe that we should continue with the SBA at this time because they do provide those services. However, I do want to go on the record by saying that I do have some reservations about VSBA. They've been the only game in town for the past 100 years, and they are a large lobbyist organization. Uh, I think that sometimes that is in conflict with the fact that the dues that we pay this organization come from taxpayers in our community. And those taxpayers don't always agree with the policies or stances that they're lobbying for. And so we're not only representing the public school, we're also representing other members of the community that maybe homeschool their children or have their children in alternative forms of schooling. So there's a little conflict there. The other apprehension that I have is that I've attended their workshops, professional development, and sometimes they're really lacking as far as content and usability. But I did use them for the superintendent evaluation process that I'm working on, as well as other organizations that I am a member of, SBMA being one of them, and recently School Boards for Academic Excellence. So there are other organizations out there that can help school board members specifically do their job. Our job is very different than the job of the superintendent and other members of the school division. And so we need special training to equip us to the best of our ability to do our job as far as governance and oversight. But I do agree that at the time, there isn't any other viable alternative that can provide the services that we need as a small school division. So I do agree that we should stay with VSBA.
Thank you, Ms. Cunha. Ms. Dombrowski?
Yeah, this is something that I've given a lot of thought and consideration to over the past several months. So I have decided to write down my thoughts and read them just to say as clear and concise as possible, and so that my nerves don't put my brain into the opposition. I believe in thoughtful oversight, particularly when it comes to budget and spending. It's oversight is one of our key responsibilities as a school board member, as school board members. I firmly believe that transparency and accountability must be at the heart of everything that we do. So in $7,341.10 may appear small within the context of a multi-million-dollar budget, I know that even the smallest amounts can make a difference towards improving student achievement. And I believe it's important to evaluate all our expenditures of all sizes to ensure that they represent the most responsible and effective use of public funds, particularly given that a significant portion of our funds comes from new tax dollars. So I've taken some time to ask questions and dig into this issue as thoroughly as I could. Being a small school division, I recognize that we often have to navigate a lot of challenges that larger school divisions have more resources to deal with. And after speaking with Dr. Nichols and Ms. Davis, I can certainly understand and value the support that they receive from the VSBA. In this case, I can completely understand how retaining our membership and paying this fee is a necessary part of maintaining the effectiveness and progress of our school system. One particular concern that I have regards a 2023 lawsuit that was filed against them and is ongoing. It was filed by a Hanover parent after the VSBA refused to provide basic financial records. And in reaching out to one of the lawyers in this case, he advised the trial is now in 2025, a couple of months from probably going to court, where they will determine if the VSBA is a public body and must comply with FOIA requirements. So for me, it's concerning to know that a public entity that is funded by taxpayer dollars is using resources and time to fight a FOIA request pertaining to financial transparency. My personal belief is that when public funds are involved, accountability and openness aren't just important, they're essential. This isn't just about the money, it's about ensuring trust. That being said, I want to bring up another matter that I hope the board can recognize and a request to consider. In my research, I learned that the VSBA defines itself as a policy-driven association and one that invests significant time and financial resources towards lobbying efforts focused on education-related legislation. Their lobbying efforts are guided by the VSBA's legislative positions. These positions are formally adopted by the VSBA Delegate Assembly, which is a body composed of one representative from each of the Virginia school boards who pay to be members of the VSBA. By default, if our board does not elect or appoint a representative to attend the VSBA Delegate Assembly, it falls to the chair to serve as our delegate with the vice chair as the alternate. Delegates are expected to review the legislative priorities provided in the VSBA handbook, discuss them with their local boards, and represent their division's views during the delegate assembly held in November during the VSBA's annual summit. Since our election to the board, we have not appointed a representative to serve as our VSBA delegate. Consequently, New Kent County has lacked representation within an organization that in part is using public funds to advocate for education policies without any direct input from New Kent in shaping those positions. I believe this represents a gap in our governance responsibilities that warrants attention. If we're going to continue our membership of VSBA, then I respectfully request three things: that we appoint a board member to actively serve as our division's representative to the VSBA Delegate Assembly, that we appoint a second board member to serve as the alternate, and that as a board, we hold a work session following the release of the VSBA's 2025 Legislative Position Handbook to review the proposed legislative priorities and to collectively establish New Kent County Public School stance on each policy, with that appointed representative will then carry forward to the Delegate Assembly in November. I appreciate you allowing me time to present my thoughts, and I'd appreciate consideration of the suggestions I brought forward.
Mr. Reimer?
Ours is a world of sweets and sours, and this is the cheapest option.
Concise, my friend. I'm also going to be concise at this juncture in time. And the VSBA has been around 100 years for a reason. 125 of it, 131 school boards use them for a reason. The cost represents 0.0001% of our annual budget. I have heard countless requests, I wouldn't even say demand, but emphatic requests from people in our administration, teachers who have reached out to me directly in support of the use of VSBA. So, can things be better? Things can always be better. But when we're making a decision like this about renewing a membership, terminating a membership, traveling a new course with a different company, the question becomes, and I think you raise a good point, Mr. Brodsky, which is how does the school board use it versus how does the administration and staff and teachers use it? We're 5 people, they're 520 people. So I would defer to their expertise and their daily use of this organization's policies, procedures, efforts, materials, etc. And always thinking about second and third effects. So if the board said, hey, we're not going to do VSBA anymore, what does that actually do to our team? What does that actually do to our school? And until we know that, I don't think that we can consider pulling the rug out from under anybody's feet. I am in support of VSBA, not as a blanket blind support, but because I've heard from our administration, I've heard from our teachers and our staff, they need it, they want it. And for us to support them to create the best educational environment for our students and our teachers, then I also support VSBA, and I would vote to continue our membership at this time and in the very near future until another better option was presented. All right.
Mr. Chair, if I may ask a question.
Shoot.
How does the Virginia School Boards Association pertain to teachers and their support?
Well, I think I have some answers to that, but I'll let Dr. Nichols address that.
Oh, absolutely. From if you think of, maybe I have Sean Terry in my head because he had to cut up a tree today, but the tree analogy and the roots of it, strong board governance and strong superintendent board relationships allows teaching to happen, allows students to learn. So from a fundamental overview, strong policy, strong implementation, those pieces from those fundamental pieces. There are some tangential things that come with it as well, in terms of resources. We're able to get out like legislative advocacy, and just as somewhat of a side, I love the idea of our own legislative agenda. So we have the priorities of our teachers in mind. So I think that's kind of how that flows through there. I think there's some really direct pieces, but I think there are the indirect pieces as well from the strong governance side of things. So that's my on-the-spot answer, Mr. President.
All right. Anybody else have any questions or comments regarding this topic?
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes, sir.
I think what we're experiencing and hearing is a strong advocacy for another organization. And as much as I appreciate that, the unfortunate part of that is I cannot recommend or even advocate for another organization that is nowhere close to being able to provide the assistance and the benefit that VSBA has and currently is providing for our school system. I too have heard from a number of constituents with a concern of leaving VSBA or changing anything right now until at which time there is some sort of alternative support, not only for the board, but also for the administrative positions. Now, as far as the three requests that have been presented, I think they're fabulous. I think it's wise to have a board member who will attend the national sessions and an alternative. And we should review not just the SBA, but any organization. But at this point in time, what I am hearing and discerned is a disgruntlement more about one over the other without an alternative or a viable plan going forward if there were changes. And I thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Vaught. All right. Next subject is the VSBA Media Honor Roll nominations. Dr. Nichols again, sir.
Yes, sir. This is an honor of this is an annual honor that school divisions are able to bestow upon media outlets that cover schools in a fair, balanced, and accurate manner. For this time, I won't get on my soapbox and talk about the outlets that only cover New Kent County Public Schools when something goes wrong. However, we were in Newsweek this week, and I'll send you that article. It is fantastic about Quentin and our special education work and those things. You don't often want to be in Newsweek as a superintendent, but this is a beautiful thing.
But is that a good thing?
But Newsweek is not our recommendation for the media honor roll. It is none other than the consistent force that covers all aspects of us, and that is the Charles City New Kent Chronicle. So that is my recommendation, that we put them forward as an honor roll consideration, because they do cover all facets of our organization daily, and they do it in a fair, consistent manner. So, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you may or may not have versus.
Any board members? All right, thank you. Next item under new business is a literacy update. Ms. Kim Lawler.
So, and board members, this is a direct request about a follow-up from HMH, which the board adopted. I think you were board members for 11 seconds when Kim came before you the first time, and you did a great job reviewing that curriculum. So 1 year later-ish, we want to provide an update on how we're doing literacy. And we have none other than Kim Lawler and co-sponsored, but maybe not getting up, Emily Raper, who is also integral to this. So Ross Miller does some stuff too.
So, good evening, Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Nichols. I wanted to come with you with the update after our first year of implementation of the Virginia Literacy Act. which included the adoption of HMH. So I think it's good to review what was new this year in literacy. So this year we tackled a lot. There were new English language arts standards K to 12. We had the new core curriculum, which was HMH. We had a new literacy screener, which became known as VALS, not the PALS. That was historical. We're now VALS. We had new scheduling blocks to update our master schedules that went along with HMH. We had new informal assessments as a part of HMH, and all of our teachers had to participate in modules that came from the state that could take anywhere from 18 to 27 hours to complete. So I think a moment is needed to recognize all of the staff that tackled all of this new this year. This was a lot to take in 1 year, and this is only literacy. This isn't talking about math standards that were new and everything else. So just a moment to recognize their efforts. Just to speak to what supports were provided, we provided formal training in March and August of last year to prepare for this year. 26 staff members throughout the 3 schools were provided Coachly. Coachly was on-demand coaching with a real HMH coach that they had access to 24/7. They could send messages, they could have Google Chat, they could have virtual meetings. And as part of that, the schools had 1 to 4 site visits where the HMH coach came to the school. Schools could customize their schedule based on their needs. And the coach gave directions, modeled lessons. We shared HMH engagement ideas to make sure the students had hands-on opportunities. We provided the at-home learning days to complete the modules. We really wanted to honor their planning time as they're tackling a new core curriculum. There were PLC meetings within buildings. Our coaches, Megan Telford and Jen Scott, were instrumental in helping teachers with HMH. We had instructional chats to talk about what's going well, what support is still needed, and then we also support teachers complete the VALS, as it was much longer than anything we had done before. So just to share what went well, this is from the words of teachers. Students loved the vocabulary lessons. We saw an increase in critical thinking. Every student had a copy of the text, so they could annotate, they could make notes, answer questions on the text. Teachers appreciated the spiral nature. So if somebody didn't understand something the first time, you were coming back to it all the time. Students were reading authentic literature, and there was plenty of resources, a plethora. So just to share some data, I'm going to go into the VALS and SOLs, but just so you also know, we collected data on fluency for 4th and 5th grade, decoding as it was needed in 4th and 5th grade. Writing was quarterly, except for kindergarten, that starts in the second half of the year. Benchmarks were quarterly, and then formative and summative classroom assessments throughout the year. So to talk about VALS, just so you know what was assessed, there's 3 sections. There's the code base, the language comprehension, and then the RAN, which is rapid automatized naming. So what you see on the screen is each of the subtests, an explanation, and what grades it was for. So you can see that it's really quite lengthy and in-depth. Teachers have roughly 15 days to give this assessment to their class, and it does take the 15 days. And you give it 3 times a year, so beginning of the year, mid-year, and spring. So to talk a little bit about the data, I obviously don't have comparison data to show you for that because it's the first time we've given it. So what I did was I showed you fall and spring. When students complete the assessment, they're put into a band of risk. So high risk, moderate risk, or low risk. Obviously, we want as many students as possible in low risk, but we also throughout the year want to shift kids from high risk to moderate risk and from moderate risk to low risk. So as you can see, we made incredible gains at all of our grade levels, kindergarten through 3rd. And I won't read it to you in depth, but you know, from kindergarten going from 26% low risk when they first come in to leaving us with 65% of our students at low risk, that's incredible growth. So I really like the foundation that we're setting for our kids, right? This is our beginning place to then continue to grow them. So then SOLs, and I did give you comparisons, but I think it's important to remember that there's also new standards. So the standards are not identical, so you're not comparing necessarily an apple to an apple.
Right.
That's important to know. So the three white boxes towards the bottom of the screen cover 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade reading at each of our schools. Just to make it easier to read, I showed you where we grew this year, where we maintained. The diagram graph, or no, not graph, at the top, that kind of shows 3rd grade students last year. What did they do when they got to 4th grade? So that same cohort of kids, what happened when they moved up? And so you can see, for example, Clinton had 58% pass their SOL in 3rd grade, but those same kids in 4th grade went to a 73% pass rate. So there's a lot to be proud of there. Obviously, there's still room that we can grow, and that's what we'll continue to do. But for the first year of implementing a curriculum and with so much change, teachers showed incredible growth with their students. So as you guys know, we're a part of the CIP consortium. So they send us data reports, and this is taken from one of them. Just so you understand what you're looking at, you have 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade reading by school, their pass rate, the total number of students. The PR is the percentile rank. So for example, Watkins 3rd grade reading, among the 72 at last check divisions in a part of CIP, we ranked 84th among them. And then you have the pass advanced and then our pass advanced percentile rank. So just another way to look at the data as we compare to those that we are in the consortium with. But our work's not done yet, right? We've only completed year 1. We have to continue to think about what our students need, and that's going to change every year to meet their needs. So some things that have already happened is schools held PLCs after SOLs to unpack their school and their grade level data. So think about, what did those kids need next year? The elementary administrators and I met in mid-June to unpack our division data and think holistically about what does our division need. So one of those things that came out of it is on our pacing guides that the teachers use, priority standards are being highlighted based upon areas that we can grow in. So we noted that. Writing is also going to be addressed next year as a focus. Teachers shared that they didn't have enough time to truly go through the writing process to complete a great final product. So we are tailoring the modules to meet those needs. We will continue to assess our students with benchmarks, vals, and informal assessments. Vals is being extended to grades 4 and 5. It's going all the way to 8th grade, but for elementary purposes, it will now be pre-K through 5. We're going to continue to hold PLCs to unpack the curriculum and the lesson plans, and then we have professional development coming up in August for all staff to tailor what our next steps are based on data.
Can you just, for me, or for the public, explain what a PLC is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a PLC is a professional learning community where teams of teachers come together to achieve a common goal. So they may be unpacking data, they could be lesson planning, they could be, looking at any host of things as a small team of teachers with an identified goal. So, any questions?
Mr. Vaught, any questions or comments, sir?
No, but thank you for the information. I'm glad that we're able to do this.
Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation. Ms. Cunha, any questions?
I have a few questions. As far as the site visits, how many site visits actually occurred at each of the schools?
Yep, so Newton Elementary had 1, Watkins and Clinton each had 3.
Why the discrepancy?
So it was a grant funded, so it was schools that received that funding, and so it happened to be that Watkins and Clinton received that grant funding. Newton Elementary, we paid.
Okay, and what didn't go well? What were the concerns about the new program, HMH, and where does it fall short? according to the needs of the teachers and what you observed?
I think, I don't want to say fell short. I think there was so much to unpack.
Okay,
There are so many components as a part of HMH
yeah.
in print alone.
Mhm.
And then you go online and there's even more. So I think we were sort of resource inundated.
Yeah.
And how do you take all of that and decide what does my class exactly need? So now that we sort of know, okay, in this module, this is what we're covering, let's correlate that with our student data. What do we need to hone in on? What are our priorities?
And are they doing that over the summer? Where is that conversation taking place?
Yep, so we have teachers at one in each grade level working to start that work this summer. They're going through the pacing guides and highlighting that, but our admin teams have also started that process to take into their PLCs. They have a list of the correlations between HMH and the standards and our SOL results standard by standard, so they can see areas that we were strong and areas that need greater focus, which can go into our lesson planning.
So you mentioned you shared the VALS results, and I'm just curious how those results compare to the benchmark results compared to the SOL results, because they're very different types of assessments, right? So can you shed light on that a little bit?
Yeah, so we actually track how students do in third grade, VALS, benchmark, and SOL, looking for the correlations. And we were able to identify that our benchmarks and SOLs are almost identical predictors.
Interesting.
So that's incredibly helpful for us. VALS in third grade differs because you're giving it to everybody in the fall, but then in mid-year and spring, you give it to the students as the VALS states based on your level of risk.
Interesting.
So you just want to be careful when you're looking at that. That student, obviously, from fall to mid-year to spring may have some changes.
Yeah.
So you just use that with caution, but it does align. A student that was high risk struggled on their benchmarks and SOLs, right?
Yeah.
Just proceed with caution. In second grade, we do look at how VALS and benchmarks compare. Obviously, we don't have SOL scores there,
Right.
but we do look at that correlation. It's just important to note that in second grade, the benchmarks are being read to them for half the year. So that does skew the results a bit.
That's right. That's right. If it's being read to them. And I guess the last question is going back to the chart with the data. Any indication as to why New Kent Elementary School scores were so much lower than the other two schools?
Yeah, so I think it's important to look at a couple of factors. First, they were our only school with a new administration team this year. They also had a new reading specialist team. So those are two factors that the other two schools did not face.
And just outside of that, I think that's a great question. Several quick questions. Outside of the implementation of literacy, New Kent Elementary had a disproportionate number of staff members out on leave. Warranted leave. I will tell you, we had some beautiful new river otters. They're babies, but the river otters. And some other circumstances, and it just consistency with students matters, consistency with teachers matters too. So I think you have a couple of those avenues mixed in there too from our lens, without going too far down the medical route. But yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Dombrowski?
No.
And Mr. Reimer?
Yeah, I'd like to go back to the slide with VALS data. So, thank you, Mr. Committee. That was a great question. The percentage low risk, what exactly does low risk mean?
So low risk, in the words of VALS, means that student is at low risk for developing reading difficulties in their lifetime.
Okay, so at this point in third grade, we should know who is at no risk. Right?
Focus in third grade switches from decoding, from learning to read to reading, using,
learn.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Getting to learn.
I'm assuming too, well, no, that would be the wrong way to say this. So we have these numbers now, and this is the first year. So are we expecting then, as we begin first grade the next year, for those high risk numbers to be lower across the board?
That would be the plan. That would tell us that our core curriculum is working and that we are moving
Right.
students in the right direction. Correct.
Okay, and the cohorts, we should expect higher low-risk scores by third grade as this program continues.
Correct.
Because as I see now, the third graders have a 55% risk, which I don't think is very good.
And just keep in mind for third grade, we don't test all of the students,
You only
especially
test the
in the
ones.
spring.
Okay,
So
So-
it does skew the
so
data.
how do we
Excuse
get
me.
a better sense of that data for the whole population?
For third grade or for?
Third grade.
So for third grade, we're gonna still use the vowels, right? But then third grade also takes the benchmarks that aren't red. They very much mimic the SOLs. That
Okay.
data is instrumental in making our intervention groups.
Russ, you would love to speak. Please.
let's speak.
Is it coming out of his seat, Mr. Harper?
Just to clarify, I think an earlier question you said, how do we know that students have no risk? And there's no such thing according to the vows. You always are either low, moderate, or high. So low risk is the highest score you can get.
I see.
There's nothing.
And so that means there has to be some kind of definition behind it that is,
Quantifiable.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they've used statistical modeling to pick what should be a high risk, what should be a moderate risk, and what should be a low risk. But everybody is at risk.
Is it?
And this is a question that came up.
Absolutely.
The parent reports when they went home, parents had the exact same question. And we had to be basically quick on how do we articulate this to parent, and we modified how we articulate to parents, because we had parents coming in with the low risk designation on it. What are you talking about? My child's at risk. It's like, well, no, that's the best designation that the state
Okay.
gives.
So can we go to the next slide? I'm sorry. No, that one wasn't the one on,
That's a little bit.
No.
yeah, no, the next one, this one. So there's a number of things I'm seeing here. The advanced sections,
Mhm.
I'm seeing a red area, for instance, and a lot of yellow. So what is one of the primary factors that affect the advanced category? Especially in our comparison to other schools, right? This is supposed to be a comparison to other schools. And then that last column, advanced PR, we're showing some low scores there.
So that's representing students who scored past advance on the SOL, so above 500 or 500 and above. So I think here, this is where we start looking more closely at our students who are performing incredibly well on the benchmarks. How are we enriching those students?
So it seems like we need to do some more.
Yes,
Especially in specific schools in specific places, just,
Yeah.
and that's where, our instructional coaches and Kim and Emily and so forth can really help along with our specialists.
Would it-
Okay. Thank you.
I have one more
Junior?
question. Would it be possible for you to, somewhere down the line, as you unpack all this, provide us with an update as to how you're going to address those issues?
Sure.
Specifically, like how you're gonna target?
absolutely.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
And we're excited to bring you some longitudinal data next year, start,
I-
any 2 points connect, we really
I
need 3,
would
but,
love to
uh,
see longitudinal.
so, but,
Yeah.
first years are first years.
Yes,
so.
right.
Thank you, Ms. Lawler.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Miller, you wanted to speak so badly, sir. It's your turn. Course requests is our next item.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Dr. Nichols. So I'm bringing forth tonight a request to approve a course. In reality, just to give you sort of what's going on here, we actually already offer this course as a dual enrollment course. We're now shifting to basically an advanced placement course. So instead of going through the community college, we'll be going through college boards. Students would take the AP test instead of to get their college credit versus getting it from Rappahannock Community College. that's the main shift here, and we have to bring it forth to y'all because at the state level, there's actually a different course code for this course because it's an AP. And so in some instances, we don't necessarily come for you and say, hey, we're going to teach a different level of course if it has the same course code. In this case, the state has set this one aside. But it pretty much is a course that we already teach. Part of the rationale here is we had a teacher who was teaching the course who was already certified dual enrollment, and the teachers that are teaching it moving forward aren't certified dual enrollment, so we're shifting to that AP model for this course.
Mr. Corbin, just a reminder, we put two in our enrollment pathway. We put two different levels there. DE is what we would like to do, because that transfers very easily. But that also comes with pretty stringent requirements for teacher licensure. So if we don't have that, we have the backup. College Board would not like me calling it that, advanced placement. So this is that option, like with teacher certification, we can do dual enrollment or we can do an AP, but kids have an opportunity for college credit. So just, it's a continuation of our mission, really connected to the strategic plan.
Mr. Vaught, any questions or comments, sir?
No, nothing on that. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Cunha?
No.
Mr. Dombrowski?
No.
Mr. Reimer?
What modeling tools do they use? For,
So
Sorry.
he's
What
asking about
modeling
modeling tools. So this isn't 3D digital art.
okay, this
This
is,
is like sculpture and things.
so there, this is cool,
Hands on.
cool, I like it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Miller.
You.
Ms. Morgheim, school nutrition contracts is our next subject.
Mr. Chair, school board members, Dr. Nichols. Tonight I'm bringing to you a request for approval of some school nutrition contracts. We actually participate in a South Side Food Co-op. It has 31 school divisions in it, and Leslie and now Crystal takes a very big leadership role within that co-op, and we issue all of the bids for basically everything that they're purchasing to serve in their kitchens. So that is a very heavy lift that NUCAMP provides for those divisions. I'm very thankful to our school nutrition team, specifically Leslie and Crystal and their new leadership team in completing this. So tonight I'm asking for specifically just you to allow Dr. Nichols to sign those contract documents. There are 3 that we are wanting to move forward. There's one that I probably will have to wait and bring to you in August, and that is for the fruit smoothie mix. But the others are ready to roll. Are there any questions?
Mr. Vaught, any questions or comments?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cunha? Mr. Dombrowski?
No.
Mr. Reimer? Thank you, Ms. Morgheim.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes new business. We're moving on to school board goals, review and update. Project New Kent Elementary School, Dr. Nichols.
Yes, sir. And board members, my plan for tonight's presentation was derailed yesterday, but I'll bring you up to speed. So we put forward to the Board of Supervisors in partnership with Mr. Hathaway and his team, a transfer of roughly $130,000 to add to the 2.3 million that we had in our account for New Kent Elementary. And just as a reminder for viewers, we saved nearly $500,000 on the Quinton project. We got an additional construction grant. And then we've been good stewards and in year end putting some money aside too, really building this piece, and we got to $2.3 million. The additional 130,000 basically would have got us to bidding documents, or to the point that we could bid if we had the revenue for it. So that's why that went before the Board of Supervisors. I attended last night with really no plans on participating. And if you watch the YouTube video, I was at the podium for about 20 minutes with a number of questions, many of which I feel like we've answered. But when somebody tells you they still have a question, obviously it did not translate. So we got to go back to the drawing board with that. So no action was taken last night on that transfer. As of right now, this project sort of stands in a standstill. I highly encourage board members to watch that segment. I've offered, Mr. Hathaway and I met first thing this morning, had a very productive conversation as part of our regularly scheduled meeting, to just talk about how do we get this project back on track. So we were operating under the assumption that with the $2.3 million that was there, which was designated for new school construction, that we were off and running on new school construction. So the opinion on whether that's true varies wildly among the Board of Supervisors members. So I highly encourage you, Mr. Reimer got a big shout out at that board meeting for his positive communication and relentlessness about the New Kent Elementary School project. So really appreciate that advocacy. This may lead to a joint board meeting, board members, which I will happily coordinate with Mr. Hathaway and your schedules. I'm extremely worried about New Kent Elementary and the sustainability. And you guys have seen the packet and it's been shared with the county as well. The effort that we're having put in on electrical, on HVAC, and on plumbing on a daily basis. So to think about another year or 2 or 3 or beyond causes me great concern when it comes to capital projects and sustainability for that school. So board members, I'm happy to answer any questions, but that's pretty much just a summary of where we are at this point in time.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Vaught?
No, I have nothing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Cunha?
I have nothing, thank you.
All right. Mr. Dombrowski?
No.
Mr. Reimer?
I would just like to say that, you know, I think the board of supervisors, we may need to do like we did in the budget year last year, where we brought them each in individually, one-on-one with different representatives and walk them through the plans, not just a joint board meeting.
Sure.
Because I think each of them may need individual explanations and attention to this. They probably have different concerns, and I know it's a lot of work for us, but that's just my thought. And with Haney and the supervisor and the superintendent and their board member and our board member all side by side, one-on-one instead of in a group, I think that might be more effective. It's just a suggestion, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Reimer, I think it's a great suggestion. Thank you for your comments, sir. All right, Dr. Nichols, you are up again, sir, with the strategic plan update.
Yes, sir. So we've been going goal by goal, board members, and we have reached the final goal, but that does not end the strategic plan mission. So this month, as we're working towards back to school, we wanted to talk to you about goal 4, which is really strengthening partnerships with family and community. So we want to zoom in to goal 4. There we go. We just zoomed in. And that's really about building those relationships with our families and community members. Team New Kent is pretty broad. So when we zoom in one more time, there are strategies connected to each of these goals, and there are indicators related to some. Just keep in mind, it's all grew from several strategic planning sessions with our staff and with our community. Tonight, I want to zoom in one more time and to the strategy about establishing regular communication channels. And I want to update you on some of the redesign work that we've been doing behind the scenes, which we're quite excited about. And so if you go to newkentschools.org, you will see a completely redesigned, interactive, aesthetically beautiful, but also incredibly informative and easier to navigate webpage. Each of our school sites have also been redone. Board members, we stay back on this, thank you. This work has gone on behind the scenes for probably the past 8 months to connect links, to redesign links, even down to certain nuances. When you go to the New Kent Middle School page and you scroll about halfway down, you're going to see our strategic plan. but it's all gonna be New Kent Middle School pictures connected to that. We do the same thing in New Kent High School, it's gonna be New Kent High School, and so forth. So the strategic plan is front and center. One of the things that frustrates me, I've looked at, and our team will tell you, hundreds of school websites. I hate when you can't easily find how do you apply for a job. So if you look at the top right of ours, join our team is right there and it stands out. Like you don't have to fumble. And it's amazing, some big school divisions, it's very hard to find that button. So we've also minimized clicks behind that and we've made that experience a little more interactive and beautiful. There's also on the right side a button that says apply. So there are multiple ways to get it because people navigate websites differently. It also has the Let's Talk component and the interactive chat bot that is there is also still part of the page. Easy links to all of our social medias and connected to that. You have your school board page. So calendars there. That's always on everybody's mind. How do I register my kids? You guys, school board, and then join our team. So we're continuing to work behind the scenes. We did a soft launch about a month ago. We got some really good feedback on it. So board members and community, if you have time, please navigate through. This is a still shot. If we were actually on the website, it would be changing and moving. But not only that, I'm incredibly excited. There we go. That we now have our own app on the App Store. It is really incredibly titled NKCP SBA. So what that does is it gives you the mobile friendly version, not the source of going to a website and then when you have it on your phone, it does not translate. You can click on, so I have downloaded it. I clicked on the division and all 5 schools. So I could see everything and the calendars and those different pieces. And so still working on the app piece. But since the world has become so app-based, we wanted to make sure NKCPS had an app available for families. In addition to that, board members, we are shifting our communication platform, which is even more interactive and engaging than the previous platform we were using. So it allows us more flexibility, allows possible two-way messaging, and is easier to utilize for staff, for teachers, for families. So more information coming on that. So we're very excited about our continued partnership with families in the community. And we think the website and the app is a huge step forward in honoring that strategy and the strategic plan. So as you guys kind of play around in there and kind of see it, please feel free to give us feedback. That Let's Talk button is very easy to give us feedback with if you're watching this at home. So that's where we are, board members, with Goal 4. We'll be loading our back to school content. School supply lists are already up there. And we've gone the extra step of you can do one click with Teachers Share and it puts your whole first grade supply list there for you already done. You just click that and check out. So very excited about Goal 4 and some of the work that we're doing. So that's my quick update on strategic plan. Board members, be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Website and app looks amazing. I just downloaded it. Everybody do the same. All right, Mr. Vaught, any comments or questions, sir?
No, I so appreciate the work on that and the making it much easier to navigate. Thank you.
Ms. Cunha?
I've been on the website. I don't have the app yet, but I've been on the website and it is definitely easier to navigate through. So thank you for your efforts. Yes.
Mr. Dombrowski?
Great efforts. Is that a Google Play?
I believe we do
Is that
have it on.
available on there?
It should be on.
It's in all stores. We're not just Apple stops here.
Just checking. Thank
Some
you.
of us try to be Mr. Dombrowski, but we are friendly across. Yeah, it's in the Google Play Store.
Mr. Reimer? All right, the next several items, we have no submissions, so policy review, votes of consideration. So we're now on to number 8 under unfinished business. Ms. Cunha, an update on the superintendent evaluation.
Yes, Mr. Chair, board members, Dr. Nichols, and everyone here. I just want to give you a little update. So I've gone through the 8 standards that are used to evaluate the superintendent, and I've shared those with each of the board members just to give them an opportunity to review some of the examples of performance indicators that can be applied to each of the 8 standards. I think there's a slide, actually, that if you could put it up for me, that would be great. But the 8 standards are listed there. And I asked the school board members individually, because we cannot discuss things obviously together, to review the samples or examples of performance indicators for each of those 8 standards. And what I did was, instead of having all the examples listed for each of the 8 standards, which is very cumbersome and awkward, I asked them to review. I offered 3 to 4 main performance indicators for each of the standards. They're currently reviewing those, and I hope to get feedback from them, more feedback this week. So the next phase, of course, is to decide on the weighting of each of those standards. So what I put together here is a chart. It can get a little complicated to follow the process. There's some math involved here, but the idea is that as a board, we can decide to go with a default weight, which is 1.25 per standard. And of course, that adds up to 10. Or we can look at each of those standards and decide, do we want some of those standards to have a little greater weight than others? Now, one of the ones to point out specifically is standard 8, which is academic progress. Some school divisions want to make that a little less, some want to make that a little bit more. I don't know why anyone would want to make it less than 1.25, but the idea is that it cannot be lower than 1, so it has to be 1 or higher. The Code of Virginia does require that student academic progress be a significant component of the evaluation process. Now, obviously, there are a lot of things that go into academic progress, and we certainly can't tie Dr. Nichols' specific performance on student achievement. But the idea here, and if you go through the standards, they're all pretty much tied to academic or student progress, of course, because we are a school division. So one of the things we have to consider is whether we want to leave it as the standard default of 1.25, or we want to look at those standards, and that's why I asked you to please look at them carefully and the descriptions that go with each of that standard and decide whether we want to leave it as is or change some of those standards to have more weight and then less weight. Then it's added to, that weight is multiplied by the number of points that are given to each individual standard. It's multiplied, all those are added, and then there's a summative rating that is generated. And then there are different ratings: high performance, highly effective, reaching effectiveness, or ineffective. So here we have to decide a couple of things. So the weighting, should we leave it the same or not? And then the next thing we want to consider is, for standard 8 academic process, we have an opportunity to discuss or determine what performance indicators the board wishes to apply to student achievement to correspond with standard 8. Now, we already have some for goal 1 in our strategic plan. And of course, all this is going to be reviewed with Dr. Nichols, and there has to be mutual agreement between the board and Dr. Nichols as superintendent. I am going to meet with Dr. Nichols July 29th at 10 a.m. and the board members, has to be one other, is welcome to join me, but I didn't feel we were quite ready at this point to involve Dr. Nichols, because I wanted the board to have an opportunity to think about these issues and weigh in on what they consider to be important or not. Unfortunately, my internet was down. We had some down wires. And so I did share some examples, quite an extensive list of different types of performance indicators which apply to student achievement, which correspond to standard 8. Please review those and provide some feedback. I'd love to have that in place before I meet with Dr. Nichols on the 29th so we can discuss that further. And lastly, we want to discuss or think about the format of the actual evaluation process going forward and the format of the evaluation tool. This is not just an exercise and because we're evaluating Dr. Nichols specifically. This is about us as a board updating the evaluation process and updating the evaluation tool for any superintendent that we would have. Currently, our superintendent is Dr. Nichols, of course, but it could apply to any future superintendent. With that, any questions that any of the board members have?
I just want to thank you, Ms. Cunha, for taking on this task. It is one of great import and obviously a little complexity, so thank you for your efforts therein. Mr. Vaught, any comments or questions, sir?
Yeah, I would just like to, thank Ms. Cunha in addition for all the hard work. And I love the idea of being able to, quantitate and not make it just a general comment. But thank you so much for, going into this and making that happen.
Ms. Dombrowski?
Yes, I also want to say thank you for putting that all together. I think it's, I feel it's simplifying it and putting, just summarizing the main points into just a few so that we can really concentrate on those. One question I had is if we add more weight to one of them, does that mean we have to deduct from another one so that it equals 10?
Yes, absolutely. That's correct.
That's all.
Mr. Reimer?
Just echo thanks.
All right,
All my thanks.
Okay,
echoed the thanks.
thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We had no citizens sign up for comments, so we are moving now on to the conclusion of our meeting and action items. The first item up is to consider approval of the VSBA annual membership dues in the amount of $7,341.10. Do I hear a motion to approve the dues as presented?
So moved.
Ms. Cunha has the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Reimer has the second. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer,
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski,
Aye.
Ms. Cunha,
Aye.
Mr. Vaught,
Aye.
Mr. Pagano.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously 5-0. Next, we have consideration of approval of the VSBA Media Honor Roll nomination, which is the Charles City New Kent Chronicle. Do I have a motion to approve that nomination?
So moved.
Mr. Dombrowski has the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Reimer has the second. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer,
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski,
Aye.
Ms. Cunha,
Aye.
Mr. Vaught,
Aye.
Mr. Pagano.
Aye. Motion again passes unanimously 5-0. Moving on to consideration of approval of the course request, specifically the art and design as presented by Mr. Miller. Do I have a motion to approve the request?
So moved.
Mr. Dombrowski has the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Cunha has the second. Ms. Davis, poll the board, please.
Mr. Reimer,
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski,
Aye.
Ms. Cunha,
Aye.
Mr. Vaught,
Aye.
Mr. Pagano.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. And on to our final voting matter of the evening, consideration of approval of the school nutrition contracts as presented by Ms. Morgheim. Do I have a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Mr. Vaught has the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Reimer has a second. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer,
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski,
Aye.
Ms. Cunha,
Aye.
Mr. Vaught,
Aye.
Mr. Pagano.
Aye. Motion again passes unanimously 5-0. All right, moving on to our comment section. Mr. Reimer, any comments or closing remarks, sir?
I just want to once again reiterate the importance of persuading supervisors to build this new school and get it started. We all know the risks of keeping it as is, the continued and slow erosion of the ability to support it as we lose the ability to recharge the HVAC. I know that we're good at finding it on other markets, but that solution only lasts so long.
Yeah.
It's a personal goal of mine, and I will continue to work hard to persuade them to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reimer. Mr. Vaught?
Yeah, at first I want to thank my fellow board members for agreeing to have me attend the meeting remotely due to circumstances. And also thank those in administration, Dr. Nichols and everyone that made it possible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dombrowski?
Well, I've made more than my fair share of comments today, but I just want to let you know, I'm a very persnickety person, as I told Mr. Vaught, and I had no intention of advocating for another resource. I wouldn't have put the time and effort into asking and for those matters to be considered. I just felt that that was a matter of transparency for me, and I just wanted to make my concerns known. I did have the opportunity to also train or start training Toby Davis this week, and it was a wonderful opportunity to just to get to know him a little bit more. We only had 40 minutes because I don't have the Zoom, but he's amazing, and I told him that we have every confidence in the world in NCAM. And just one more thing that I wanted to leave with was a response that I wrote to a constituent who reached out about the VSBA. And I said, thank you for reaching out and sharing your perspective. It really matters. And I hope everyone knows that. I'm always open to learning and considering different viewpoints. While we may not always see things the same way, please know that I remain fully committed to serving in this role to the best of my ability. I want people to feel comfortable coming to me with their questions and concerns, and I'm happy to always engage in civil conversations as we work together to do what's best for the children in New Kent County.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Cunha?
I don't have much to say, except I want to say thank you to Ms. Lawler and your crew. I know how hard you've been working all year on this new reading program, and we haven't even gotten an update on the math standards and all of that. We recognize how hard it is to do that. As a former teacher, I know how hard it is to implement a new program when you're faced with all these other expectations and requirements. So kudos to you and your team, and I appreciate you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Cunha. I would just like to thank everybody again for their participation and attendance in these meetings, especially you, Mr. Vaught, attending remotely. I know that's not the most convenient thing in the world, so thank you, sir. I would also like to mirror Mr. Reimer's comments and in support of a new Kent Elementary School for the benefit and retention of our teachers, for the prudent use of our capital and taxpayer dollars, but more importantly, for providing our students with the best learning environment possible. It is imperative that we move this project forward, and I would encourage everyone, including the people sitting at these tables, to spread that message across our county and across our community, but especially to our Board of Supervisors, and let's see if we can get this project completed. Dr. Nichols.
Yes, sir. As I entered year 7 as superintendent in New Kent, which is crazy, I'm just even more convinced that we have the best people in the world. We hosted a conference today for Region 1 and Region 3. I think there were 10 breakout sessions. They asked us to lead 5 of them, including the keynote, because of the work that we do and the talent that we have. So it was a stark reminder for how fortunate I am to get to work with such an amazing team. And I want to say thank you to the unsung heroes. Somebody asked me the other day, where'd you go on vacation? I'm like, if you think we have time for vacation, you've never turned the school system around. So for our finance team, who started a new fiscal year and are closing out audits and payrolls and those different pieces, to our technology team that's doing upgrades, operations, putting in a turf field, we're doing HVAC work, we're doing all of these different things. Ross and Christine with student services and instruction that are building the curriculum and doing PD, and we are just so incredibly busy. And Allison Anderson and the hiring and the staffing, and we have orientation with the first group of people Thursday. Like, it is nonstop. Just that work doesn't get noticed enough, and I couldn't be superintendent without working with amazing people. So thank you, board, for allowing us to do this work, and lucky 7, we're ready. And students and families, you just got a couple more weeks. We're coming back, and we're coming back in a big way. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Nichols. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap us up. The next meeting of the school board will be a regular meeting on Tuesday, August 9th, 2025, to be held here in the Historic Courthouse Boardroom at 6 o'clock. The closed session will begin at 5:30 p.m. And with that, our meeting is adjourned at 7:17 p.m. Thank you.